Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Mosman Oil and Gas CEO Andy Carroll. Andy, great to speak with you. You've announced that you've acquired an 82.5% stake in the Sagebrush Helium project in Colorado. So really expanding your helium footprint there.
Yes, good morning, Stephen. We are very excited about this area, and we have done a full technical review of where we wanted to be in the USA. This area stands out, really identified, about 10 years ago by Tim Reinott, who started a company called Four Corners Helium because he identified the potential here. So he was an early explorations focusing on helium. Now, this area is particularly attractive both for the geology, and we've outlined that in our RNS, but primarily because of there's definitely source that's proven through this area. But there's a great seal as well, which is essential for trapping the helium. And we're very fortunate that there is extensive seismic across this area, and we're able to identify targets, structures that could hold significant amounts of helium, and a reasonable number of wells that have been drilled, which help identify the geology. So it really is a prime exploration area. One of the reasons that it hasn't been explored and developed before is that it is tribal land, and it's taken Tim Reinott quite some time to establish good relationships with the Ute Mountain Ute tribe, and they provided Tim with the seismic data in return for Tim doing an extensive report on the helium potential of this area. We're now working with Tim and Four Corners and very pleased to have both the Coyote Wash project and the Sagebrush project. Now, the two areas are side by side, and they're complementary. The latest acquisition, which will be completed, we intend to complete in January, is held by production. Now, what this means is the leases were established, oil wells were drilled. In the shallower zones, they produce oil and still have a steady oil production. And on that basis, the leases have been established and production infrastructure is in place. Now, there is also, underneath the shallow oil production, great helium exploration potential. And some of the wells have drilled below the salt seal and into the helium reservoirs, and gas, non-flammable gas, has been tested. Unfortunately, it wasn't tested for helium, but we're confident there will be helium based on other data in the area. In this area, the Sagebrush project is very complementary to the Coyote Wash project. They're geographically adjacent, and the Coyote Wash project has, as I mentioned, targets that have been identified on seismic, and we can move ahead and put the technical data of the two areas together and work up an exploration go forward, which we started work on already, and we'll be able to say more about in the near future.
Andy, how do these projects, so that's Sagebrush plus Coyote Wash, which you announced the acquisition of just a couple of weeks ago, how do they complement your overall helium portfolio as you really kind of get your feet into helium?
Yeah, so we took a very, what we think is a mature approach to building a helium producing company, which is to have a portfolio of exploration projects. Our man in the US, Howard McLaughlin, comes from a long background of well-established company, and he's led the effort, and we support his approach here that exploration is still an uncertain business. It's not a business to rush into. A lot of money can be spent drilling in the wrong place. So careful and considered approach. And we believe we have now a very strong portfolio of high potential areas in a range where we can look at capital allocation to moving the portfolio ahead. So these two areas add to the Vecta project, also in Colorado, where we're somewhat disappointed and frustrated that drilling hasn't happened already, but could happen very quickly, and as soon as a rig is contracted. And that's a lower cost, smaller target part of the portfolio. And in Australia, we have two projects, 145, where we're just waiting for some final approvals from the government as we bought back 100% of that project. And that's yet just a straightforward approval process that we expect to be completed soon. And another permit, which is in the application stage, and that's one where we found out, and the party that we farmed out to, Georgina Energy, has advised they're making good progress in getting that permit granted. So we've got a great range of projects, everything from permits that are held by production through to permits that are not yet granted, and a very strong base in the two areas of proven helium, being the Four Corners area of the USA and the Central Australia, where there's been very high helium concentrations discovered.
Andy, I hope you'll keep us posted on progress at all of those projects. Thank you very much for taking the time today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
That's Mosman Oil and Gas CEO Andy Carroll.